Willkommen bei Hypnotic Intent. Mein Name ist Karsten Küstner und ich sitze hier mit Jonny Dupre aus San Diego. Er ist den ganzen Weg rüber geflogen aus den USA und zur Belohnung werde ich ihn gleich nochmal auf Englisch vorstellen, damit wir über unser gemeinsames Training reden können, und zwar ein neues Seminar, das wir gemeinsam anbieten mit dem Titel How to be the Hypnotist, Conversational Streethypnosis. Und der Titel verspricht, denke ich, schon eine ganze Menge. Deswegen werde ich jetzt mal auf Englisch weiter sprechen, damit Jonny mitreden kann und uns ein bisschen mehr Informationen geben kann. So, welcome Jonny. This is Jonny Dupre from Southern California, from San Diego, and he's a fantastic hypnotist, hypnotherapist. He's done hypnosis across the board, from overt to covert, from stage hypnosis, street hypnosis, to therapy, to being a master training. We've trained with Igor Lerchowski, our mentor, and so I'm very proud to have him here, to have you here, and to introduce our new training, which is called How to be the Hypnotist, Conversational Street Hypnosis. So let's talk about that.
Thank you so much, Karsten. I really appreciate that. It's a great intro. First off, I wanted to sort of briefly talk about sort of where Karsten and I came up with the idea to really come together and create this 7-day comprehensive training on street hypnosis. Everything from the beginning of the conversation to all the way to the end, and how to convert it really into business, whether that be for the stage or for the therapy office or for coaching executives, or all of the above. And so I remember the conversation that you and I originally had, and we started talking about what we felt was missing from the hypnotic industry around training, because we wanted to offer something that was truly unique and extremely creative. And one of the things that we really felt had been approached and touched on, but really hadn't been delved deep into, or even anywhere near as wide as could have been explored, was the concept of street hypnosis. Yes. And everything that it can provide for us as therapists and as coaches, and as, of course, stage performers, if that's what you're interested in. And so we started discussing some of the different places that we found ourselves in our everyday activities, coming up with opportunities to discuss hypnosis as an art form. And some of those places are places like
being at a party, at a restaurant,
networking events and family reunions, or
just out on the street in a cafe, talking to strangers in a club, for example.
Or even at a lounge or someplace like that, even at a friend's house party. And so we started discussing sort of in all of these places, what are some of the common questions that we get asked that naturally allows hypnosis to be brought up in a casual conversation.
The first questions you get asked are like, who are you and where are you from? But then there's the other question,
which is always, what do you do? And of course, when you're asked that question, what do you do? There's always that little moment where you have the opportunity to answer, and you really ask yourself the question, how do I respond to this? Do I use the word hypnosis?
Do I use the dirty word?
Yeah, and if I do, I know some things are going to happen as soon as the word leaves my lips, leaves my mouth. And that is because of some of the social stereotypes around hypnosis in any of our different cultures.
Which is like, it's a magical thing, it's kind of mystical, and it has a lot of mystery around it.
Yeah, in knowing the history of hypnosis, of course, it has gone through sort of its own set of dark ages, around sort of the social stereotypes and the social conditions around what the average, common, everyday person thinks about that word and the myths that surround it. And so Karsten and I really wanted to dive deep into that and sort of explore it even deeper. And so as I started asking Karsten questions and he asked me questions, we sort of found some commonalities amongst our experiences when the word hypnosis came up. What are some of the things that happen?
Well, you have everyone's attention. You put it very rightly. Like all the ears turn towards you, and people want to get a demonstration from you. People want you to show them what hypnosis is like. Everybody is very mystified by it. They want to feel the magic.
And the really cool thing is, most of the time it's never on themselves. It's like they want to see hypnosis, but it's on their girlfriend,
somebody else, right?
or something like that.
Yeah,
so what happens for most hypnotists when they find out they are now the center of attention, and there's this demonstration that is being expected of them?
Well, the first thing is complete shock. That's what I felt.
Yeah, me too. It's like all of the lights in the room suddenly dim or shut off altogether, and it's like a spotlight turns on and you're suddenly on stage.
That's right.
And what happened for you?
Fear creeps up on you. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And that's when you start thinking, right? That's when all those thoughts come that revolve in your head.
Yeah, all of a sudden you start asking yourself questions like, what do I do?
Or where do I even start? You know,
what do I do with this? What do I say?
Who can I pick as a subject, for example? Who's a good subject? Who's not a good subject?
Yeah, and then of course there's always the dreaded question, what if it doesn't work? And then all of a sudden I found myself starting to come up with excuses.
You're like, oh, okay, I'm a little too tired right now. Actually, I don't want to.
Yeah, I do this for a living, and I'm not working right now.
That's right. Let's just enjoy the party and not do anything, not get involved. Yeah.
I don't want to take any attention away from whoever, whatever's going on around me. I don't want to make it the me show. So why is this?
Well, because there's something missing. Even though we might be good hypnotists or therapists and you have a lot of experience in that, there is something missing.
That's right. And really, when we started to explore what was missing for us as hypnotists in these environments that wouldn't allow us to really just sort of step into the role of the hypnotist, the way we do in our therapy practices and our coaches and when we're training on stage, it really came down to an issue of control. We started discussing venues, the different venues that we've either performed in or really been expected to discuss hypnosis or utilize hypnosis, and one of those environments was the stage. And when I started thinking about the times that I've performed, I've started thinking about how much control I really had when I was the performer. I could manage pretty much every variable inside of the venue, from where I selected that venue to really with the way the chairs were set up, to the music that was on and blasting in the room when everybody walked in so that I could help them to create state, all the way to
even when you have enough people, you have a certain amount of control of what types of people are going to be there to be hypnotized. So you have the right people there.
That's exactly right. And then of course when you're in the therapy room,
then you control basically everything, and then people come to you to see you. They expect a lot of good things happening already when they come to you. So that's a lot of control you have there.
And the other thing is that oftentimes when a client comes to see me, at least in my therapy room, they often have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, and as a result, because they've engaged me in sort of a desire to help them heal or at least gain some therapy around what's happening for them in their lives, I'm the one that really is in control. It's my room, it's my setup. I know what's happening, I know where I'm going to take them, but they have no idea. And so of course, I'm the one in control of that space. But when you're out on the street, when you're in these environments, like at these parties or at these networking events or in the boardrooms, you're not the one in control.
Yet.
That's exactly right. So what ends up happening is you end up in the wrong state of mind.
That's right.
You end up either in shock or in fear, which of course, if you know anything about hypnosis, that's the complete wrong state of mind to be in order to really step in and take control of an environment. And so what ends up happening is you end up developing sort of a lack of self-confidence. And there's a lot of reasons why this lack of self-confidence has been present.
Part of it might be that you don't have enough training, that you don't have the experience and practice to do it.
That's right. And a lot of the street hypnosis trainings that Karsten and I have done research on in the world are mostly 2 or 3 day courses. And in those 2 or 3 days, there's only so much of the hypnosis, the hypnotic field of study that they can really address in 2 or 3 days. And so Karsten and I decided that we really wanted to put together a course that was really much more comprehensive when it came to these types of different environments. And so as a result, we started to really explore and try and identify some of the things that were missing. What are some of the other things that are missing from some of the trainings that are out there that we'd like to offer?
There are no stock phrases that you can go to, for example.
Or if you do find stock phrases out there in the industry that they're teaching, they don't teach you the principles behind those stock phrases that allow them to be moldable and usable in really truly any environment. Mm-hmm. And I felt that was something that was really missing.
That was something that's missing, and also what's missing is that you get a very easy start in, that you have a very surefire place to start at.
That's right. And when you really have the principles and you have some of these stock phrases that are not only at your fingertips, but also truly unconsciously, I would say, programmed or placed inside of the right state of mind, on an unconscious level, so that when the moment does arise, you find yourself really developing that confidence, and these principles start to flow out of your mouth. What are some of the other stuff that you found in your own personal experience that, if you had it, would have changed the entire interaction for you?
Well, I've had a lot of training in conversational hypnosis, and I've trained people in conversational hypnosis, so I know a lot of my students can actually use conversational hypnosis, but they just wouldn't come out at the right time, or I wasn't sure of how to use these principles in the everyday interaction. So that's something I had to learn. I had to teach myself. I had to watch other people use conversational hypnosis in everyday settings, and that was one of the biggest things, and that's one of the biggest things I think I want to learn. I want us to be teaching.
Great. So after all of those discussions, after we really got down to the nitty-gritty of all of that, we asked ourselves this question: so how can we resolve this for our clients, for our students?